And everyone that has a heart should be here. Because if the heart stops, we stop. And it's the number one killer in the world today is heart disease. And so this is something that demands a look. And so when things do not function well, we should always be asking why. In other words, there is always a reason. So no heart problem, no heart disease happens without a cause. So why are so many people dying of a heart attack? In fact, one of the first signs that a person has a problem is sudden death. There's not much warning there. But a lot of people today are not used to listening to their body. It's important to listen when the body speaks.
Imagine this. You're sitting with someone you love, a parent, a grandparent, or a dear friend. Over the past year, you've noticed little things. Maybe they're not as hungry as they used to be, or they seem more tired, even after a full night's sleep. Perhaps they've become quieter, more distant, or they sometimes seem confused in ways that catch you off guard. At first, you might tell yourself it's nothing, just part of getting older, right? But deep down, there's a nagging feeling. What if these small changes mean something more? Here's the thing. We often think of aging as a steady, predictable process. But life doesn't always follow a straight line. Sometimes the body sends signals, quiet, almost imperceptible hints that something is shifting. These signals don't come with flashing lights or loud alarms. They're subtle, easy to overlook, and even easier to dismiss. But if we pay attention, they can tell us something important. In this video, we're going to explore what those signals might look like. We're not here to scare you or overwhelm you. Instead, we want to help you understand what's happening so you can be prepared, not just practically, but emotionally too. Because when you know what to look for, you can respond with compassion, clarity, and care. You can make the most of the time you have left with the people who matter most. So, let's take a deep breath and dive in. Because sometimes the quietest whispers carry the most important messages. Before we start, drop in the comments from where you are watching this video and what health topic you'd like to see in the next video. Also, as a special thank you for joining us today, we're giving away 100 free copies of Barbara's best-selling book to subscribers. So, if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and leave a comment about why you want to win Barbara's best-selling book. Significant weight loss, the body's silent message. Weight loss is one of the most common and often overlooked signs that an elderly person may be entering their final year of life. It's not the kind of weight loss that comes from a new diet or a sudden burst of activity. Instead, it's subtle, gradual, and often unnoticed until it becomes significant. A belt that suddenly needs tightening, clothes that hang looser, or a once hearty appetite that begins to fade. These are the quiet whispers of change. At first, it's easy to dismiss these shifts as just part of aging. But what if they're more than that? What if they're the body's way of telling us something important? The signs of unintentional weight loss can be easy to miss, especially if they happen slowly over time. You might notice that your loved one is eating less, skipping meals, or showing less interest in food altogether. Their clothes might start to look baggy, or their face might appear more hollow. Sometimes the change is more physical. They might seem weaker, less steady on their feet, or more tired after simple tasks. These small shifts can feel insignificant at first, but when they add up, they paint a picture of something deeper. Paying attention to these details can help you catch the signs early. Unintentional weight loss in older adults is rarely just a matter of eating less. It's often a sign that the body is no longer functioning as it once did. As we age, our ability to absorb nutrients from food decreases. Muscles begin to weaken, and essential systems, like digestion and metabolism, start to slow down. This isn't just a natural part of aging, it's a sign that the body is conserving energy and redirecting resources to the most vital functions. In some cases, underlying medical conditions can contribute to weight loss. Chronic illnesses like heart disease, kidney failure, or cancer can cause the body to break down muscle and fat for energy. Even conditions like depression or dementia can lead to a loss of appetite, creating a cycle where the body isn't getting the fuel it needs to stay strong. There are many reasons why an elderly person might lose weight unintentionally. One of the most common is a decline in appetite. As the body ages, the sense of taste and smell can fade, making food less enjoyable. At the same time, the digestive system may struggle to process nutrients efficiently, leading to a lack of energy and muscle loss. Other factors, like medication side effects, dental problems, or difficulty swallowing, can also play a role. Emotional factors, such as grief, loneliness, or depression, can further reduce the desire to eat. When these issues combine, they create a perfect storm that can lead to significant weight loss. For the person experiencing it, weight loss can be deeply frustrating and even embarrassing. Someone who once took pride in their independence might feel defeated as they notice their strength fading. They might withdraw from social activities, avoid meals, or become more isolated. If you notice significant weight loss in an elderly loved one, the first step is to consult a healthcare professional. They can help identify any underlying causes and recommend appropriate treatments.
And lack of energy is usually lack of oxygen at the cellular level, because when the cell has oxygen, it'll give you 18 times more energy compared to the cell that has no oxygen. What can inhibit oxygen coming into the body? Breathing through the mouth. We should be breathing through the nose, which purifies, humidifies, and warms the air. What else could contribute to it? Dehydration. When you're dehydrated, the cells can clump together a little bit, inhibiting the uptake of oxygen at the cellular level. So make sure you're well hydrated. Make sure you're breathing through your nose, in and out. Breathing low, slow, deep. That will allow more oxygen to get into your body.
Extreme fatigue and weakness. The energy shift. Fatigue is something we all experience from time to time. A long day, a restless night, or a busy week can leave anyone feeling drained. But what happens when the tiredness doesn't go away? When even the simplest tasks, like getting out of bed or walking across the room, feel like monumental efforts? For many elderly individuals, this kind of deep, unrelenting fatigue is one of the most telling signs that their body is entering a new phase. It's not just about being tired, it's about a fundamental shift in how the body uses energy. And understanding this shift can help us provide the care and compassion they need. Extreme fatigue in older adults often looks different from the tiredness we're used to. It's not just about needing a nap after a long day. Instead, it's a profound exhaustion that lingers no matter how much rest they get. You might notice your loved one struggling to stay awake during the day, even after a full night's sleep. They might avoid activities they once enjoyed, like cooking, gardening, or even holding a conversation because they simply don't have the energy. Sometimes the fatigue comes in waves. They might seem fine one moment and completely drained the next. These are the signs to watch for. This kind of fatigue isn't just a result of aging, it's a sign that the body is conserving its remaining energy. As organ function begins to slow, the body starts prioritizing what's most essential. The heart doesn't pump as efficiently, circulation weakens, and muscles don't receive the same level of oxygen they once did. This makes even small movements feel exhausting. Metabolic changes also play a role. The body is designed to produce and use energy, but as it prepares for its final phase, that energy is redirected. Instead of fueling movement, the body shifts toward preservation. This is why someone in decline may start sleeping more, needing longer naps during the day, or finding it harder to stay awake for extended periods. It's not laziness, it's the body's way of slowing down. For the person experiencing it, this kind of fatigue can be deeply frustrating. Someone who once took pride in their independence might feel defeated by their inability to do even the simplest tasks. They might withdraw from conversations, avoid social interactions, or stop engaging in hobbies. Not because they don't care, but because they simply don't have the energy. If you notice a loved one experiencing extreme fatigue, the best thing you can do is offer support without pressure. Encourage rest when needed and focus on creating a calm, comfortable environment. Small gestures, like helping with daily tasks or simply sitting with them, can make a big difference. Remember, it's not about fixing the fatigue, it's about providing comfort and care. Increased cognitive confusion or withdrawal. The minds fade. As we age, it's natural to forget a name or misplace keys from time to time. But what happens when forgetfulness becomes more frequent, or when someone who was once sharp and engaged starts to seem distant and confused? For many elderly individuals, changes in cognitive function like memory loss, confusion, or emotional withdrawal are among the most noticeable signs that their body and mind are entering a new phase. These changes can be subtle at first, but over time they become harder to ignore. Understanding what's happening can help us respond with compassion and care rather than frustration or fear.
No one wants to have Alzheimer's, and Alzheimer's doesn't develop quickly. In fact, some people might think it does because they suddenly start to have some lack of memory, they start to have a few things, but it actually hasn't developed quickly. It's developed over a long time. See, what we do in our 20s is revealed on our 40s. What we do in our 40s is revealed in our 60s. What we do in our 60s is revealed in our 80s. And then we had a lady come and attend our program. She came with her mother. She's 45. Her mother was about 75. And her mother had dementia. And I remember going into the bedroom and the mother was just looking straight through me. You almost couldn't connect with her. She just stood there. And as we investigated, we discovered the lady wasn't drinking any water. We discovered she hadn't opened her bowels for 6
Cognitive changes in older adults often start small. You might notice your loved one repeating themselves, forgetting familiar names, or struggling to follow conversations. They might seem disoriented in places they've known for years or lose track of time more often. Over time, these changes can become more pronounced. They might withdraw from social interactions, spending long periods in silence or seeming disconnected from the world around them. Sometimes their mood might shift. They could become more irritable, anxious, or even unusually calm. These are the signs to watch for, not as problems to fix, but as clues to what's happening beneath the surface. The brain, like any other organ, requires a steady flow of oxygen and nutrients to function properly. But as the body begins to slow down, circulation weakens, and the brain may not receive the resources it needs. This can lead to a decline in cognitive function, making it harder to think clearly, remember details, or stay engaged with the world. Emotional withdrawal is another common sign. As the brain struggles to process information, social interactions can become overwhelming. Conversations feel tiring, loud environments seem chaotic, and even familiar faces might become harder to recognize. This isn't a choice, it's the brain's way of conserving energy and protecting itself from overstimulation. In some cases, underlying conditions like dementia or depression can accelerate these changes. But even without a specific diagnosis, cognitive decline is often a natural part of the body's transition in its final stages. For the person experiencing it, cognitive changes can be deeply unsettling. Someone who once took pride in their sharp mind might feel frustrated or embarrassed by their inability to remember or communicate as they once did. They might withdraw from conversations, avoid social gatherings, or retreat into their own world, not because they don't care, but because it's easier than struggling to keep up.
And whenever cell damage happens, they change roles. They now become, as what one microbiologist said to me, we call them the garbage collectors, or you could call them the cleanup team. The garbage collectors are taking away the garbage, or you could call it the trash or the rubbish. And their name is bacteria. That's what bacteria is, that's what it does. As the environment changes, so do they change. They now become the exterminators. So the name of the exterminators This is the yeast. This is the fungus. And also another one that needs a host, like the yeast and the fungus do, a virus. As the environment changes, so do they. They now become the undertakers. What do the undertakers do? They take away dead things. And when you think about it, these microorganisms, they have the ability to adapt and adjust. So if bacteria is out of control, let's say someone's got, we're called urinary tract infection. So someone has a urinary tract infection. There's bacteria in their urine, so they're given an antibiotic. Yes, that kills the bacteria. 3 weeks later, another urinary tract infection. Go back to the doctor, another course of antibiotics. And I know Jacqueline was telling me her stories. She wasn't drinking enough water. This is years ago. She was living on junk. And antibiotic after antibiotic after antibiotic after antibiotic for urinary tract infection. Does that make any sense?
Frequent infections and slow healing, the weakened defense. As the body begins to wind down, one of the clearest physical signs is a weakened immune system. You might notice that someone who rarely got sick before now seems to catch every cold, flu, or minor infection that goes around. What used to be a quick recovery now takes weeks, and even small wounds, like a cut or bruise, seem to linger longer than they should. These changes aren't random. They're signs that the body's ability to defend and repair itself is slowing down. Understanding what's happening can help us respond with care and compassion rather than frustration or fear. Frequent infections are one of the most noticeable signs of a weakened immune system. Your loved one might develop recurring illnesses like pneumonia, urinary tract infections, UTIs, or skin infections. Even minor ailments, like a cold or a small cut, can take much longer to heal than they once did. You might also notice that their skin becomes more fragile, with bruises or sores that don't seem to go away. In some cases, infections might not present with obvious symptoms like fever or pain. Instead, your loved one might seem more tired, confused, or withdrawn, subtle signs that their body is struggling to fight back. The immune system, like every other part of the body, weakens with age. As circulation slows and organ function declines, the body becomes less efficient at fighting off infections and repairing damage. Chronic conditions like diabetes or heart disease can further compromise the immune system, making it harder to recover from even minor illnesses. Another factor is the body's reduced ability to heal. Poor circulation means that oxygen and nutrients don't reach the skin and tissues as efficiently, slowing the healing process. Pressure sores, often caused by limited mobility, can become a serious concern, leading to infections that are difficult to treat. If you notice frequent infections or slow healing in a loved one, the first step is to consult a healthcare professional. They can help identify any underlying causes and recommend appropriate treatments. In the meantime, focus on prevention and comfort. Keep their skin clean and moisturized, encourage hydration, and ensure they're eating nutrient-rich foods to support their immune system.
Because feet should never get cold. Perfect health requires perfect circulation, and perfect circulation means that my feet and my hands are the same temperature the rest of my body. And what happens when a person has cold feet and they just let them stay cold, then after a few years they start to lose feeling in the edge of their toes. Do you know, if this continues, those toes will go gangrene and then maybe even be removed. So let's just keep our feet warm. So it's important to keep the feet warm.
Major changes in breathing or circulation, the final transition. One of the most telling signs that the body is preparing for its final stage is a noticeable change in breathing patterns and circulation. You might notice that your loved one breathes more slowly or shallowly than before. At times, they might pause between breaths, or their breathing might become irregular, speeding up and then slowing down unexpectedly. These changes can start subtly, but over time they become more pronounced. Alongside shifts in breathing, you might also notice changes in circulation. like cold hands and feet or a bluish tint to the skin. These are signs that the body is conserving energy and prioritizing its most vital functions. Changes in breathing can take many forms. Your loved one might breathe more slowly, shallowly, or irregularly. Some people experience a pattern called Cheney-Stokes respiration, where breathing alternates between deep, rapid breaths and long pauses. You might also notice shortness of breath, even with minimal movement, like sitting up or speaking. Changes in circulation are another key sign. Cold hands and feet, pale or bluish skin, and a mottled appearance are common indicators that the heart isn't pumping as strongly as it once did. These changes are often accompanied by a general sense of weakness or fatigue. As the body prepares for its final phase, it begins to conserve energy and redirect resources to the most essential functions. The heart doesn't pump as efficiently, circulation weakens, and the lungs may struggle to take in enough oxygen. This is why breathing patterns change and why the extremities, like hands and feet, often feel cold. Fluid buildup in the lungs can also make breathing more difficult, leading to a persistent cough or gurgling sounds. These changes aren't necessarily painful, but they can be uncomfortable. The body is simply slowing down, prioritizing comfort and preservation over active function. If you notice these changes in a loved one, the most important thing you can do is provide comfort. Keep the room cool and well ventilated, and consider using a humidifier to ease breathing. Offer small sips of water to keep them hydrated, and ensure they're positioned in a way that makes breathing easier, like propped up on pillows or in a recliner. Preparing with compassion and clarity. As we come to the end of this discussion, take a moment to reflect on what we've explored. Significant weight loss, extreme fatigue, cognitive decline, frequent infections, and major changes in breathing and circulation. These 5 signs often appear in the year leading up to an elderly person's passing. They may not all happen at once, and they may not always be obvious at first. But when you start noticing them, it's a sign that the body is preparing for its final transition. Understanding these signs isn't about fearing death, it's about being prepared for it, emotionally, practically, and compassionately. For many families, these changes can be difficult to accept. It's natural to want to fight against them, to encourage a loved one to eat more, move more, or push through exhaustion. But sometimes, the best thing we can do is listen to what their body is telling us. Instead of focusing on trying to reverse the inevitable, we can focus on making their remaining time as peaceful, comfortable, and meaningful as possible. Recognizing these signs early gives you the opportunity to provide better care, make important decisions ahead of time, and ensure that your loved one's final months are filled with love and dignity. If you're noticing these signs in someone close to you, take a deep breath and remember, you are not alone in this journey. Many families have walked this path before, and while it is never easy, knowing what to expect can help you find strength, patience, and peace. Thank you for joining us today. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching. And as always, stay informed, stay healthy.